We are on air. Welcome to the second episode of Comic Monitors. This is Matt Invictus. I'm here with Darnell Henriquez. We're going to be talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I promise there will be some actual comic book related videos soon. These first couple episodes are just kind of testing the waters, getting the hang of streaming. So,
We didn't even do one dick joke last episode.
Penises are cool.
Well, that's gonna be cemented on our cast forever.
Yeah, we're off to a great start. So our first question is going to be a little different from last time. How do you think the MCU compares to the DC Cinematic Universe?
A big part. Well, I already told you. I think everybody here probably heard it from the last episode or just from my usual rantings. But a big part of it feels like they're not going like, hey, we're being like comfortable in the fact that we're bringing out these big name properties. It kind of just feels like they're trying to like make it. You get me, like good, but not good. Just like, oh, just good in general, but just like, no, we're actually putting effort into it.
Yeah.
Like look at it, for instance, Captain America: The First Avenger, up to then like Captain America: Winter Soldier, and then Civil War, where it's like all three of them have bases in the books, but then also it's like, they put in like no-name people in it, and now the Russo brothers are like, big comic book guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the Marvel films, like, not only do they get better people for the job, and a lot of people say like the Marvel films are too formulaic, too simple, and they're right to an extent. But at the same time, I feel like the filmmakers do have a lot more creative freedom. Like, I feel like the people they get are allowed to tell more their own vision. So,
well, I don't even think it's more their own vision, but more in the idea of like how like Doctor Strange is a science fantasy film. Not a science fantasy, a magic fantasy movie. It's a movie that like goes into the veneer of like, this is magic. This is weird magic. This isn't like, oh, like in Thor, where it's like, hey, maybe it's magic. Maybe it's just really advanced science. Doctor Strange just pisses on it and says, no, this is what real magic looks like, motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this has been pointed out a million times before. The Marvel films are so much better organized than the DC ones. I mean, say what you want about the Marvel films in terms of quality, whether they're boring or generic. The filmmakers do know what they're doing, even when they do change something. Like, I think the Hulk was meant to be the villain of the first Avengers film, but they changed their plans. Even then, they did it in such.
Ant-Man was originally supposed to be where it was.
Yeah, but even when they do change their plans, they do it in such a fluid way that you don't even really notice they changed anything. I mean, the DC, they're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. They just feel like they can make any change, any announcements, and they can just smooth it out by the time it hits theaters.
Where's the Flash and Shazam movie, people? Where's the Shazam movie? We were promised Shazam.
It's not going to happen. At this point, we're more likely to get Black Adam. But yeah, overall, I'd take kind of formula generic movies that are entertaining to watch and satisfied over more risky, ballsy movies.
No, I don't even think I would take movies that the outcome because they're closer to the actual original source than movies that are trying to say, I want to be the next big thing and like go away from what originally made the source good. I think that's my idea on it.
Yeah, really, I just want to walk out of a movie not hating the filmmakers, and I think Marvel delivers on that a lot better than DC. And I'm a DC boy, so it hurts to say that, but it's the truth.
And everybody here knows, hell, look at my fucking icon. Look at the two heroes I worship.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, mine is a 6 heroes I worship. Well, 5 really. I don't like Ms. March that much, but we're both DC boys.
Misogynist.
And even Wheel admits that Marvel, most of their movies, put DC to shame. We have not seen Wonder Woman yet, so this does not factor into our opinion. But next topic, what would you say are your 3 favorite MCU films?
I think everybody here already knows the first one, Winter Soldier. Civil War is probably second, mainly just because of how much it feels like a Captain America film versus how the original just felt like a clusterfuck of all the superheroes. It while still feeling like a Captain America. But the third one, I I want to say just right now, I want to say Ant-Man, just on the veneer that I loved Michael. Fuck, who's the guy that played Hank Pym?
Well, the Basic Instincts dude, Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, just because of the way I absolutely loved Michael Douglas's performance in that movie. Like to me, it felt like this is what Hank Pym would be 80 years old and in this universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not gotten to see Ant-Man. I have not seen 100% of these films. I have not seen Thor 2. I have not seen Doctor Strange, but I think I've seen the rest. I'd say my all-time favorite is still Iron Man 1. I think that they still haven't really lived up to their very first movie because I mean, part of the thing that makes Iron Man 1 so great is it really did kind of set the tone for comic book films up until now. Like that and The Dark Knight. Almost all comic book movies now, they're either trying to be The Dark Knight or they're trying to match the tone Iron Man 1 created. Like I guess The Avengers is a bit more influential, but Iron Man did pave the way for that one and most of the other good MCU films because like that tone is like that fairly grounded in reality but not overly serious. It's still got like the witty puns and the one-liners. Like that really did has reflected on most comic book films up until now. And overall, I just think it's a really well put together movie. I mean, it did like gave us Tony Stark, who's like one of the most iconic action stars of the era. I think it did like kind of had some like subtle corporate commentary. It was kind of somewhat ballsy to like tackle Middle Eastern warfare and stuff while still being a overall fun comic film. I think that's an underrated accomplishment. I also really like Guardians of the Galaxy 1, just in the sense that it was like the first Marvel films to kind of go outside their comfort zone, go for a more overall comedic tone. I really enjoy that one. And then for my third favorite, I guess I'll go with Winter Soldier. I think that one was pretty impressive. I don't really have much to say. I just really like that one. So, next topic. Who would you say is your favorite hero in the MCU?
Captain America, of course.
Mm-hmm. So, want to tell us?
Is it really any other choice?
Okay, so you want to tell us why he's the only choice?
I mean, is there really an only other choice? I said, and for me, I think it's more so on the reason that Chris Evans just does. Chris Evans makes the like Steve Rogers work. He makes the idea that's like, yeah, like this character that came from the 1940s has all this optimism at the beginning of the first movie, and then beginning of the first Avengers film, and then throughout the other films, throughout Age of Ultron, throughout Winter Soldier, throughout Civil War, you kind of see that optimism kind of both break but get remolded in a different way. Because like at the beginning of the film, he's the complete poster boy for the American government, and then by Civil War, he's fighting the entire world just to protect his friends,
mm-hmm.
and because what he thinks is right.
Yeah, the films do a pretty good job, like keeping his character moving. It's like they keep doing new stuff with him. It's like his development never really ends. That applies to like pretty much most of the MCU protagonists, but like it's impressive they do it with Captain America because he does have a bit of a reputation for being just kind of like this generic white bread good guy, but they do a pretty good job showing what an exaggeration that is. So,
I mean, hell, even look at the beginning of like everybody knows the joke from Age of Ultron where he says language, but then at Civil War when he says giant man bro, he actually does say shit.
Yeah, I'd have to say my favorite protagonist is Tony Stark, just because I feel like he is fairly unique among comic book film protagonists. I'd say out of the main Avengers, he's the closest to an anti-hero because he does have serious issues. He does act like a prick more than the others. I mean, Thor did that at first, but he's kind of like moved past it. Tony Stark still got, a bit of a chip on his shoulder. It's just that Robert Downey does just such an amazing job with that role. I going to go ahead and say this. I don't think he was actually that great an actor until they put him in the Tony Stark role. That's what, like, really, really showed us what a great performer we had. So.
And personally, for me, one of the best things about Tony is that, similar to we were just talking about the Captain America thing, it's the opposite of how his character arc is almost the opposite of how Cap's character arc went.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, at the beginning it was completely, it's all about me. Everything I do is for my kind of betterment. I don't even just still talk about the first movie because the reason why he fights Araya Stone is because Stone wants to take over his company and sell weapons to terrorists that would demolish his name. But then, as you see kind of more in the movie, he has this like sense of control and the sense of self-dread about himself, which makes it that by the time Civil War comes around, it makes sense why he's so like, no, we need to be controlled. We need, like, because he's thinking, what if any other superhero ends up like me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like his arc in the first film, it was like him like learning to like not be a total self-censored dick. It was like him becoming a hero, and then from then on it was like more focused on his like his mental issues, like in ideological conflicts. He had like purely good intentions, but it was
his post-traumatic stress in the third film.
Yes. And so yeah, I think Tony Stark is definitely my favorite. Getting into more interesting territory, which MCU films do you think missed the mark? What would you say are your least favorite films?
Right now, I'm trying to think, because for me, I originally didn't like the first Captain America film because I thought it was too enamored with like the theme of like trying to be it's the World War II era, yada yada, without really going in depth into like the craziness of it. So when I first saw that movie, I thought that one kind of was like a little bit of a miss.
You thought it was too.
But now, wait, what?
You thought it was a bit too infantile?
Not too infantile, but a little bit too, like, it's not embracing what made like the golden age kind of weird. You get what I mean? Like it was trying to be too grounded for its own good.
It felt like just another comic book film that happens to take place during World War II.
Well, not even just that, but I mean, okay, let's just say that. Let's just say that for what made. Let's just say that. But now, in comparison, now that I look at that and then that Winter Soldier and Civil War all in one go, it does feel like a genuine piece of the puzzle. Like, it does feel like a genuine beginning of something.
Hmm.
So now that movie's way high up in my list. The movie I kind of feel doesn't do that is the first Thor movie. Like, I still, when I watch that, doesn't feel as like whole. You get what I mean? Like, even Iron Man 2 kind of aged well for me, but the first Thor movie still hasn't.
Yeah, the first Thor is just, my issue is just boring. I barely remember anything about that film. I think I last saw it in, I don't know, 2012, anticipation for the Avengers. I've seen it twice, and I still barely remember anything about that. Nothing of a movie. So yeah, that's definitely.
My main thing I remember is the part where Shield comes in and Hawkeye. Like the Shield parts are what I remember most about that movie. Yeah, and of course some of the jokes Thor does, like the "I need a horse."
Yeah, does anyone even remember Hawkeye debuted in that film?
Well, at that point, people didn't even know it was Hawkeye.
Yeah, but like in retrospect, you think they probably all think he first appeared in the Avengers. They don't even remember that his little Thor cameo. But yeah, Thor is definitely one of the worst. I never really disliked. I never had anything against the first Captain America film. I always thought that one was entertaining. But Thor is bad. I never even really hated Iron Man 2. I mean, it's a letdown sequel, but nothing about it really annoyed me. It was just kind of
that one. Oh, go ahead.
It was just kind of standard popcorn fare, but again, it never really got on my nerves or anything. Not the way Age of Ultron did, which I wouldn't say it's the worst of the Marvel films, but it's probably the one that annoys me the most, just because I thought Avengers 1 was not my favorite, but it is a pretty impressive accomplishment. Then you got Avengers 2. It's like, the same writer and director. You're like, bringing in some new characters. You got you got James fucking Spader to play the villain. Like like everyone going in, everyone thought this one was going to be pretty good, and then you saw it. It's just so mediocre, so half-assed. It's like the definition of a half-assed sequel. And I do place it on Joss. I know he says he was like exhausted. He didn't really have the energy to make it, but I think he could have done better with it. He had what, 3 years to regain his energy. He screwed up. So Age of Ultron is probably my least favorite overall. You got anything to add?
I can understand that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others that deserve criticism. I thought the Ed Norton Hulk movie was pretty forgettable. Not as bad as Thor, but I don't remember much about that one either.
For me, I feel like the Ed Norton Thor movie
Hulk
is it actually does feel like a Hulk movie. Like it does its job pretty well of establishing, who the Hulk is, why he ain't. Like you get me, like it does everything. So, and for me, I still really remember the fight against Abomination. So for me, it's really satisfying when I see that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was put together all right. It's not by any means bad. It just could have been a lot more than it actually was. And I'm trying to think if any of the second wave films were really bad.
For me, I really can't. I mean, like I said, Dark World. Usually, people do consider it to be like the worst one of the MCU, but it kind of still gets the job done because at least it tries to focus more on the Asgardian world, which I'm guessing we're probably going to see in Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I haven't seen that one, but I mean, Iron Man 3 was fine. Again, not great, but good. Guardians, I've already said, was a great one.
We already heard your displeasure with Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange, you still haven't seen it, but for me, like I said, Cumberbatch and the people that just made that film did a very good job, kind of just showing like this is what magic is supposed to look like, and this is what like Stevens' path is, and a lot of people compare it to like it's kind of very similar to Tony's, but at the same time, Stevens' path is more like self-assessed pride, whereas Tony's is just more like greed, playboyism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely give that one a watch. I just haven't really gotten around to it. So we both.
And even I was going to also say even the scenes, because Tony's all about magic and my self-aggrandizement, whereas Stevens is more all about like embracing that not everything's about you, in the sense of like the magic thing, that like you have to be a slave to magic in order for you to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we both saw Guardians 2 last week. You want to talk about that one a bit, since it's the most recent of the films?
I really liked it. It's kind of hard for me to really judge it as saying like, do I like the first one better, do I like the second one better? Because there's aspect of both I like over the others. So it's like, for instance, the plot of the first for me kind of feels like more not memorable, but it's like, oh, okay, all these different things. So it's like, okay, they're getting the Infinity Gem, but it's like the same way. I really love the characterization in 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my big issue with 2 was that it I feel like it didn't have as much space exploration as the first one. Like watching the first one, I think it does feel like you've seen a large chunk of the of this universe they've building. It explores a lot of different worlds. With 2, it felt like half the film took place on Ego's planet, and all the other scenes were in just kind of generic locations, like the inside of a spaceship or an alien strip club. I didn't mind that scene, but.
We need to find that alien strip club. I want that place.
Oh, who doesn't want that place? But yeah, Guardians 2, it just felt a bit smaller scale. And usually I'm fine with like, smaller scale action films, but in that one, I really like the exploration aspect of the first one, so I guess I missed out. But overall, I liked it a lot. And unlike certain stuck-up individuals, I liked how, it wasn't afraid to have certain characters in the film emote in the face of tragedy. I felt like he did a good job showing like, these protagonists as human and getting us to sympathize with them when something not so pleasant happened. Again, despite what certain individuals will say.
We're talking about Macintosh.
Yeah, we're talking about Josh McIntosh. Who think
Are we really gonna be like pussying around Josh McIntosh? I mean, I get if we're gonna be making fun of like really big people or people that can really like go after us, but Josh McIntosh, we're really gonna be pussying around that fag?
superhero films reinforce patriarchal notions of toxic masculinity? I want men in action films to show more emotions, but when they actually show it, it's not the way I want them to. But getting back off that tangent, it's no secret. A lot of people have pointed out that the Marvel films have a serious villain problem. Like more than half of these villains are interchangeable. They're the same kind of character, but with different motivations. Malekith, the Accursed, Ronan, the Accuser. Not much difference between them. But Kurt Russell, he's been one of my favorite actors in Hollywood for a while. He is an absolute legend. It was so great seeing him play a much more unique and defined villain in this movie. The one complaint is I would have liked to see a bit more of him acting evil, because like once like I'm not going to spoil anything, but once you find out how evil he really is, you don't really see much of him after that. That's a bit of a letdown, but he did amazing every time he was on screen. So yeah, that's all my thoughts on Guardians 2. Anything else you want to say?
I do like how the Sovereign was kind of like, because for a huge point when I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, how do the Sovereign, like, is it just because like they're the villains just so they kick off the plot? But then I'll say this: after the end, by the ending, when they reveal what the Sovereigns plan to do, it definitely does. Like, okay, I understand why they included the Sovereign. That's a very good hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just remembered, I wanted to point out that out of all the characters in the universe, the Guardians are the ones I know the least about. I haven't really read any of their comics. I knew some.
I have.
Yes, of course. You've read every comic that ever existed.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. You read every comic in existence, including the embarrassingly bad ones. But I just want to say, like, these are the only Marvel films I really go into with an outsider's perspective. But considering that, I think they've done a really good job with most of the characters involved, even the less important ones. Like, I mean, I didn't think it was possible to make Yondu, such an obscure character, like, mean so much on film, but they pulled it off. So moving on from that, out of the announced Marvel films that haven't happened yet, which ones are you most anticipating?
I mean, I think everybody here knows I would have to kill myself if I didn't say Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely going with I agree with that too. It's definitely Homecoming. It looks like the Spider-Man film we've wanted out our whole lives. It's like, the comic booky tone is not afraid to be like, fun and lighthearted and serious at times, but I feel like it gets Peter Parker's character right. Because like the Sam Raimi films, I feel like they did okay in terms of tone. They weren't afraid to be extremely comic booky, but Tobey Maguire is not that good at Peter Parker. I know a lot of people.
No. I actually say the opposite. I think he's an amazing Peter Parker. He's a horrible Spider-Man. With Garfield being the opposite. He's a great Spider-Man, horrible Parker.
I mean, the thing is, even when he was Peter Parker, I didn't really empathize with him that much. He wasn't terrible. I don't think he's one of the worst superheroes ever. He just didn't bring much to the role, in my opinion. Now that we've seen, regardless of what you think of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, I think he did a pretty solid job. I think most people will agree on that. But Tom Holland's going to blow them both out of the water. We haven't seen much of him, but he's the best. I just know it. So I'm definitely excited for Spider-Man: Homecoming, despite some very questionable marketing and a certain controversy where we all thought they'd cast a black girl as Mary Jane, but then it turns out it was a completely different character, and we lost our shit for nothing. And the crappy posters and the trailers that spoil the climax of the film. Aside from all that, I'm still very excited.
No, but I'll say this: at least for the crappy posters, at least the crappy posters make amazing memes.
Oh yeah, that one where
Have you seen the one where it's just like it's the reverse, and it's like instead of Spider-Man, it's all Robert Downey Jr. It's just one tiny Peter Parker.
I have, but my favorite is one where this guy's like, I made my own version of the poster, and I can't even tell where the actual one starts and mine ends. And he just like threw in all these random characters, like Michael Keaton and Birdman, and just like emo Peter from Spider-Man 3. And he's true. Like some of the characters on there, I couldn't tell if they were part of the actual poster or he added them. That's how horrible it is. So yeah, that was a riot. But the other upcoming films, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Infinity War. Any thoughts on those?
Captain Marvel for me is like really going to be a make or break thing.
Yeah, I'm not excited for that one at all.
Because here's the thing, it's not like saying we're like, oh, female film, because again, Matt and I are gonna watch Wonder Woman, and we have our list of our favorite female characters. But it's just like the character of because here's the thing, Carol Danvers is a great character up till 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they just go, okay, we're gonna do her characterized. They can even keep the current costume, but they just go, oh, any story or any characterization before 2015, and I'm pretty sure it will be a great ass movie. But if they decide to go with her character as she is now in the comics, or any hint of that, and it is just gonna feel like, oh my god, it's gonna feel like what people might have felt Wonder Woman may have went wrong.
Yeah, I'd say this. I'd say this character went off track in 2013 because I won't claim to have read all her stories around the time. I did read some of her first Captain Marvel run, and I thought they'd taken what was a fun supporting character. She wasn't groundbreaking or anything. She was just kind of this fun, snarky, badass chick who you enjoyed reading about, and they tried turning her into this generic leader type where she's completely empowering. Everything about her is just
for me, I'm still thinking of the Bendis New Avengers style of her, where they were trying to make her that was when they were trying to make her into a pretty big character, and it worked because she was like you said, this snarky U.S. government, just kind of like this character that's just I am pretty much almost the Marvel version of Superman, except with characterizations, and I am still human.
Yeah, and they were
she still does make a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah, they weren't obsessively trying to turn her into a role model, just doing everything they could to make her this shining beacon of female empowerment, like her 2013 series did. They were just making her just fun superhero who you enjoyed reading about. It's nice to have her tag along with the Avengers. She had a successful solo book as Ms. Marvel. I haven't read it, but I've heard it's good.
She in Civil War, she made one of the most sense onto why she would join the registration, because she was a military pilot. She supports the military. She worked for Shield. Makes sense.
Yeah. Overall, I'd say the Captain Marvel is one I'm least anticipating because I think it has the highest chance of going completely south. But I am interested in Black Panther. I am somewhat interested in Infinity War, even though I'm kind of still a bit burned out on the whole Avengers films after Age of Ultron. But are there any other upcoming films that I missed?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, I couldn't care less.
Come on, dude. Michael Douglas and the dude that plays Scott Lang. Come on, they were actually funny guys.
Yes, I'm sure Ant-Man is a perfectly good movie, but it's just I've never been a fan of this family of characters. I've never been a fan of the Wasp or any version of Ant-Man, Scott Lang.
Even the perverted dude that would spy on women in the showers.
Oh yeah,
that's an actual character, by the way, people.
Yeah, I know. There's another Ant-Man who's so underused that neither of us remember his name.
Eric O'Grady.
You remember his name, but no one else does. How does it feel to be the only one who remembers Eric O'Grady?
Dude, there's a lot of things I've remembered that a lot of people don't.
You're not exaggerating. But yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So yeah, we both settled on Spider-Man Homecoming as our favorite film. Let's answer some audience questions.
Everyone, person in the chat, this is your time to shine.
Yeah, I go into my Twitter and ask us this question. Best character in the MCU, we already answered that. Favorite MCU movie, we already answered that. Okay, if you could change one thing about the MCU, what would it be? You want to take this one?
I would say if okay, are we saying I have complete power over changing anything in the MCU, even if it means like having to rewrite our reality to do it, right?
You
I
can,
would say wait, what?
yeah, let's do the rules. All right, you do have the power to wish for anything you want, but you can't change what's already happened. You can't go back in time and stop Age of Ultron from sucking. It has to be in the future,
Okay.
but you can wish for whatever you want.
I want a House of M movie where it's got like, let's say for instance, Infinity War, Vision dies,
Hmm.
and Scarlet Witch goes crazy, and she makes a world where it's like majority of the population has powers, and then and Vision's alive as a human, so on and so on, and then when the movie ends, like there's still a huge chunk of population that has powers, but they're not Inhumans, they're actual mutants, and that's how we introduce the X-Men back into the MCU.
Yeah, I'd like to see a slightly more crazy Scarlet Witch. I think she's at her most interesting at her craziness. I kind of have a thing for like that, like a suit ultra powerful but insane character type, sort of like Dark Phoenix. That would be cool. My answer was going to be just kind of like bring the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back into the Marvel universe. Just do away with like the Fox properties and everything. Just have everything in one, which you kind of brought up in your wish. So we kind of want the same thing.
Yeah, and I completely forgot what the Fantastic Four. Oh my god, I feel like I need to whip myself now.
Fant Four Stick. I think I'm just going to call the Fantastic Four the Fant Four Sticks from now on.
No, no. I feel like if either Fox or Marvel is smart, they're just gonna say Future Foundation, and then that's it.
Okay. So, you want to talk about the Netflix shows? What do you think of those?
Overall, I feel like because a lot of people, like you and I have heard definitely a lot of people say, "I want an R-rated version." I feel like this is the best. This is the best thing because, or aside from Deadpool and Blade and a bunch of other characters that are legitimately R-rated, the big thing about those characters is that you have to fit them in a movie slot, and some of them the big like R-rated, which means less time period for you to grow with the characters. Which is one of the things I really love about the Netflix films is the fact that it's like you do get to grow and have longer time spans with these characters. But I've always said like even if it was like down to the point that if it meant no more movies, I would love it if like every character would have been just like a Netflix show, not like a CW show, but like an actual Netflix show where they weren't afraid of like Captain America, and then we do see like the concentration camps and so on, or Black Widow and Hawkeye, and we do see like them getting tortured, and not essentially all of them have to be X-rated, but like the concepts and their characters that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge gore junkie. I love mature content in film. I love watching R-rated movies, but I'd say I'm fairly satisfied with them keeping the R-rated stuff confined to Netflix than keeping the films in the PG-13 zone. And again, I love R-rated comic films. I love Logan. I love Deadpool. But I feel like the Netflix stuff is enough satisfaction for me. Out of all the Netflix shows, I have not seen any of Jessica Jones. I've seen most of Luke Cage. I didn't make it to the end. I've seen the others in their entirety. The only one I really, really love is Daredevil. That's the only one I think is like truly impressive. I go crazy for that one. I love Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. I think Wilson Fisk is great. A lot of people criticize the Elektra subplot in season 2. I thought it was fine. Punisher was amazing. So that's the only one I recommend everyone watch is Daredevil. I enjoy Iron Fist 2 despite its flaws. No one will claim that series is perfect, but I think we both think it's a decent enough series.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I think Finn Jones did a good job. I think a lot of people are too hard on him. I've even seen people say, I think that overall the series was decent, but the lead should have gone to someone else. I don't agree with that. I think he got a little too spazzy in the later episodes, but overall he did a good job. I think he'll be a lot better in Defenders because the Iron Fist screenplay seemed a little bit rushed. I mean, I
For
think
me, one of the big things I really, looking back on that show as I see it now, like a few more times, like everything that kind of made Iron Fist good, even before like the Ed Brubaker and the Matt Fraction that Matt, I keep ranting you about, but it's like even before those series, Iron Fist had way more like mystical and way more like it was like the weirder part of like the street level heroes, and they don't necessarily try to do that. They try to make it like, okay, we need to fit this as much into the Defenders as possible, which I think is what kind of really hurt the show writing wise, because they're trying to say, how can I make this fit, rather than how can I make Iron Fist into like the character that he is. Because like I said, Finn Jones he did a very good job as Danny at the beginning, because Danny is supposed to be that kind of like the goofball to Luke Cage's straight man.
yeah, and then in the later episodes, he just became kind of a train wreck. But and as for like the lack of mystical stuff, I mean, that might have something to do with budget constraints. I mean, like these all these Netflix shows, they have money for a few good fight scenes, but overall they're not. It's not like the Flash, where they can like put together some big flashy shit every episode. I think they might have been a little bit held back in that regard. I hope they make a next season, and with that one, they're a bit more heavy on the mystical stuff. Most of the fight scenes were okay, except for that one in like the files room that everyone shows around on Twitter as proof that whole series is terrible. But
Which series?
The what?
Which one did you say?
Iron Fist. Like that crappy records room fight that people bring up as proof that everything about Iron Fist is terrible and has no redeeming qualities, which is ridiculous.
All right.
I think most of the characters were fine. I thought Colleen Wing was cool. I thought that creepy short Asian lady was cool.
Margal.
Yeah, I like her. I like creepy old people in movies because they creep you out. So yeah. Did you see all of Luke Cage?
Yeah, I did.
I think we actually on some other guy's live stream we talked about this briefly, but yeah, we can talk about it again. Mm-hmm. I watched like I think most of the episodes. I think it had some good elements. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't have enough to hook me all the way through the series. I thought Luke was a bit of a kind of a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu, whatever.
That's one of my big things I really find interesting about both characters, where it's like with the Luke Cage show, I love the entire environment of Harlem. Like every character I fell in love with. But with Luke, I kind of felt like he was playing really underplayed. Whereas with Iron Fist, the rest of the world, a lot of things I was like, but then with with Danny was like, I felt like the one character they got really right.
Yeah, I mean, I did really like the tone of Luke Cage. I like the atmosphere, a lot of the settings. Some of the supporting characters were cool, but it's just that the guy at the center, and this isn't the actor's fault or anything. He did fine. I think he was just a bit underwritten. He was just a little bit too perfect from start to finish. So, and I have not seen any of Jessica Jones. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. I really like Jessica Jones in the way that it does. You can definitely tell they took huge inspirations from the original Bendis run. But it's at that point to where it's like, okay, yes, they took huge inspirations, but they still took what made that story good into, the main show. Which is why I really just started ripping my hair out when they announced the season 2 for Jessica Jones. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to base it on?
Oh, don't
like, what the fuck are you going to base it on? Are you going to base it on the Pulse? Are you going to get her pregnant now?
Oh, don't you know, Brian Michael Bendis is writing a new Jessica Jones series as we speak.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know that. I read that series, but it's like down to the point that is way too fantasy based for like, because she's investigating like why are people from the fucking Secret Wars and now they're reliving like their multiverse lives. Well, like, surely, you get what I mean?
Surely they can make it work. It's Brian Michael Bendis. When is his writing is so perfect. Surely it must be great.
His writing was perfect before 2012.
What are you talking about? He's as good as he ever was. Haven't you read Civil War II?
I'm pretty sure like the audience has like the one dude that's listening to us right now, and then the audience that's probably gonna be listening to us in the future are looking at you and they're saying, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
There's 2 people watching us right now.
Yeah, I'm one of them, motherfucker.
Oh, now it's 3.
Yay! Keep talking, people get more.
Yeah.
Now it's back to.
But yeah, getting back on topic. I mean, I might get around to Jessica Jones eventually. I really like David Tennant as an actor, and even Kristen Ritter. I really liked her as Jesse's girlfriend from Breaking Bad in a few episodes. She was good there.
It's definitely very good, like not true detective. Like what's that called when it's like kind of gritty detective style sort of writing? Like not CSI, but kind of like private eye detective work.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, that does, like, I've heard that's what the series is. It's like a kind of a gritty detective show with some superheroing thrown in. And I mean, that's not a bad premise. It's just nothing about.
Well, I mean, like the whole point of the Jessica Jones show, it's like because it's supposed to be she tried to be a hero and then she got and then she failed. Well, I say failed, but I think everybody here knows what I'm talking about. And that's what it kind of is. It's like it's supposed to show the other side of the tracks of like, because everybody we know that is a superhero, these are the characters that succeeded. But there's always going to be characters that either never try or characters that do try and don't make it. And Jessica, the whole point of Jessica is that she was supposed to be this character that tried to be a hero, but then failed, and now she's broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do like Byronic characters a lot, the kind who have serious issues they need to work through and screw up a lot. That isn't a pretty appealing character type to me. I'm not a fan of perfection. I like either Byronic characters or like really like kind of relatable everyman types. So I'll definitely check it out eventually. It's just I was never really desperate to watch it. But let's see what else I've got. I want to talk a little bit about Marvel movies that aren't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Fox properties or all that. Like aside from the MCU films, what would you say are your favorite movies based on Marvel characters?
First Class, #1.
Yeah, I know a lot of people really like that one. They'll say it's the best of the ensemble X-Men movies, and it kind of is. But it still disappoints me because it has.
I like it a lot because it's a Charles and it's the Charles and Xavier film you want, but it's also the X-Men film that the Bryan Singer films try to be, because it's like like it talks about trying to learn as the students, and you gotta get what I mean, like you learn as a school.
Yeah. I mean, it was well made and all, but my issue is it just had too many characters I don't care about. I mean, you got Professor X, you got Magneto, you got Mystique and Beast. I like them all fine. Everyone else, I've never been a fan of them in the comics. That wouldn't bother me so much if they made something great out of them on film, but they didn't really. They didn't turn Havoc into a household name. They didn't turn who the fuck else was in it?
Pixie.
No, I think that was Angel. Like not Warren Worthington Angel. Her name's also Angel. Even though she has a insect wings.
Darwin was another one. The black guy was Darwin.
Oh yeah, Darwin, the one who died. And then all people complained that like the one black member of the team was the one they killed.
Even though you can see that he literally sacrificed himself.
Yeah. And then Nightcrawler's dad.
Banshee.
Oh, Banshee, yeah. I forgot he was in that. But yeah, they took a bunch of characters no one cared about, and they did nothing to make people care about them. And it's like in Days of Future Past, not my favorite movie, but I mean, everyone loves Quicksilver in that one. And like Marvel Comics Quicksilver. I mean, let's face it, he's never been the best character in the comics.
Well, no, I mean, like, I know that you have your gripes against Age of Ultron, but for me, I like the Quicksilver version of Age of Ultron because it felt like his character, which is like a really hardcore douchebag that you want to hate. Like, because I mean, you take away the scenes from Age of Future Past, and what was Quicksilver's personality in that movie? Like, you wouldn't really say he's a douchebag.
He was Impulse from DC Comics.
Yes, that's it. That's pretty much it. He's Impulse.
I know, but I like that better than what Quicksilver usually is because, again, I'm fine with more dickish characters, but there's just nothing really appealing or charismatic about his dickery. He's just always just been kind of there. And I mean, I don't hate Age of Ultron Quicksilver. I didn't shed a tear when he died. I mean, that's not a spoiler since you've already seen it. I didn't really feel bad when he died or anything, but it wasn't terrible. But if when you got a character who isn't that great, I'd rather you just kind of try and turn them into something worthwhile than be source accurate in that instance. But so you like X-Men First Class? Any other Fox or Sony Marvel films you want to talk about?
What was well, I think we both can agree Logan was probably the pinnacle, even if with my views on First Class, Logan was the amazing one.
I like Deadpool slightly better.
Yeah, Deadpool's also really good, but for me, like Logan, like James Marigold, I can definitely tell. You can definitely tell he has a love for the character, even if no matter what else you can say, he has a love for Logan that is like unmatched. Like I even saw this when I saw the Wolverine, but it was like with this it's just like yeah, he definitely, if anything else, he is a huge Wolverine fan. And like when I mean fan, like I legitimately mean fan, not like oh well, I like this character, but no, I really like this character.
Yeah, and I agree that Logan is a very good movie. I liked a lot of stuff about it, but I do have a few pretty big issues that I think it's lower than Deadpool, in my opinion. I have some issues with the ending. Should we spoil it?
The Logan movie or which one?
Logan, should we spoil the ending?
It's coming out on DVD, so yeah, might as well. People, if you want to not be spoiled, pause it right here, and then I will say. And when I say banana, oh fuck, they're not even gonna know.
No, just keep it.
I'm sorry.
Just keep it paused for the next 3 minutes. We'll talk about it quickly. Okay, all right. If you don't want it spoiled, pause starting now. Okay, Logan dies at the end of Logan. He dies. There's like this clone of Logan, and he like beats the shit out of him, and then impales him on a tree branch, and that's what kills him. I think that his death was a little bit weak. I have no problem with his motivation. He's like his last act was saving a bunch of little mutant children from the
his last act was essentially saving his family, saving the next X-Men.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with that. I just think he went out like kind of a pussy. Like he couldn't even kill the guy who killed him. And then it was Laura Kinney who killed the Wolverine clone. And I think
oh god.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing that Logan didn't get to, kill his killer. And they could have averted that easily. They could have just had Laura throw the gun to him, and then he could have shot the Logan clone. That could have happened, but I mean, for some reason, they just needed Laura to get in the final badass moments. But I mean, I thought his that aside, his actual death was fairly sweet. I liked how Laura was there and he felt kind of validated. So aside from that, and also I think moving on from that, the spoiler material is over, but some people still have the video paused for the next 2 minutes or so. I think the film lacked world building. I mean, it did take place in the future. They had a little bit of...
I feel it kind of, personally, I feel kind of did, because, I mean, looking at every time they were talking, regular human people were talking to Logan, and when they kind of knew that he was a mutant or that he was actually Wolverine, they were actually kind of, smiling at him. So it's kind of like this, without the X, either after Days of Future Past ended or somewhere among those lines, right before the mutant genocide, people started to actually accept the X-Men, or maybe after the X-Men all died, and people were like, hey, remember when the X-Men were around here? Yeah, maybe we're too harsh on him.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is it took place, I don't know, 15, 20 years in the future, and they'd have they did have little hints of future technology, like self-driving trucks and stuff. But aside from that, there wasn't really indication.
Real life right now.
Wait, really?
Yeah, those driving trucks are happening right now. That's not future-y. That's actually those are happening right now.
Yeah, but they're not really common. I've never seen one. Have you?
mainly because those are like when they're like the huge stretch of convoys. Like they're not gonna put them in like busy highways.
Exactly, but in the movie they were on busy highways, so there were like like these like tiny little hints that this did take place in a kind of futury world. But like for 90% of the film, you wouldn't know that. So I think maybe they could have gone a little bit more, been a little.
Well, I mean, also at the same time, they're kind of like in the heartland of the U.S., where I don't think technology is gonna catch up with them yet. I'm sorry for any of our listeners that live in the Midwest.
Oh, come on, these the backwoods hillbillies, they all have cell phones. Even those people in India who you love reminding me of, who don't have access to toilets, they all have TVs and mobile phones. Technology catches up fast with even the people you wouldn't expect it to.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I think the 3 minutes are up.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Logan's good. Deadpool is still my favorite of the
People, when you do hear the Logan shit and you wanna go back to those 3 minutes, do it. We talk about the fact that Indian people don't have toilets, but they have cell phones.
It's all relevant.
That's what's called marketing, Matt.
Everything we discuss on this stream is relevant. But moving on from that, yeah, Deadpool is my favorite of the non-MCU Marvel films. I think it's just really, really entertaining. It got like, it's everything we want it to be. It's just Ryan Reynolds being this like, crazy homicidal goofball. I liked Colossus. I think that outside of the that movie's version of Colossus is the best portrayal of an individual X-Man in all of the films, because I mean they did some of them do okay with like Professor X and Magneto. Not all the portrayals are horrible, but I think that movie's Colossus was like the one who
picture 100% iconic to the original.
Yeah, he's like the one that made you feel completely satisfied watching him, and he wasn't even like the star of the film. He worked, and like I said, Reynolds did a good job. It's the movie really, the movie took an actor who was kind of turning into box office poison. He hadn't really done anything relevant in a while, and turned into one of the most bankable stars in the world. That's impressive. I liked most of the other characters in the film. My only problem is that I feel like it could have been a bit more offensive. And I mean, I know it does have like titties and a bunch of dick and poop jokes and stuff, but in this day and age, is that really that offensive? I feel like it could have taken it one step further, because there was like almost no controversy leading up to that film. And I don't like manufactured controversies, but if there's one film that does have the right to piss a lot of people off and manufacture controversy, it's Deadpool. Because Deadpool, he's a troll. His character said he's basically.
Well, I mean, there was that one controversy where a woman was petitioning the movie to be PG-13 so her son could watch it, and then Ryan Reynolds actually posted and said, "Fuck off."
I vaguely remember that, but again, that wasn't actually in the movie. That was leading up to it. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds is awesome for doing that. But I feel like there could have been just I mean, Jurassic World encouraged 3 different controversies. They thought it was racist because they thought Chris Pratt had a spray tan, and they accidentally nicknamed one of the dinosaurs something that sounded like a racial slur, so that caused controversy. And then the whole sexism thing. So we got like a Jurassic Park sequel that pisses people off 3 times, and Deadpool only pissed people off once, and it wasn't about something actually in the film. So that's the only slight area of disappointment regarding Deadpool. But other than that, I think it's a close to perfect movie. And I also like the first Blade movie. That's from way back.
Blade 1 and Blade 2 are, for me, very good, very, very amazing films.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one yet, but I do really enjoy the first one.
How?
I haven't gotten to it. I promise I will see it eventually. I promise that before I watch Jessica Jones and Ant-Man, I will watch Blade 2. Okay. But yeah,
You know how we were making fun of our mutual friend for not watching almost any superhero films except for Doctor Strange? I think you deserve more ridicule than him now.
We're not seeing Blade 2? Really? Is it
Yes,
is it really that important?
it kind of really is. If you hate vampire films, it really is impressive.
Well, I'm sure it's impressive. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Uh,
All right, but I haven't seen the third one either, and that's not a bad thing. And yeah, I think that the first one is a very entertaining early 2000s action film. No, late 90s. I think it's from 1998. I think it's like a very good snapshot of that era, that kind of Matrix style, over the top action. I still have a bit of a hard on for that kind of film, so I enjoyed the first Blade movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine, really underrated. Did a lot of great stuff for the Logan character. It was really nice to see his.
Now we're going to get pretty much shut down. You shut down this show before I even started now.
I think it did a great job paving the way for the Deadpool solo movie. Great job establishing Ryan Reynolds as the Wade Wilson character. Wasn't he great in that film?
Well, like I said, dude, remember, not everyone can take your sarcasm like I do.
Sabretooth, wow, wasn't he just one of the coolest villains in any comic book film ever? He was played by that guy who I think was married to Naomi Watts. He did such a great job. I also love the fact that he looks nothing like any other version of Sabretooth. He looks so different from Sabretooth that if you looked at him, the last thing you'd ever think of was a Sabretooth. I thought that was a ballsy move. In case you haven't noticed, we're running out of topics. I do have one last topic before we wrap up. Do you have anything else to say regarding the Fox and the Sony Marvel films?
No, not really.
You want to talk about how great Spider-Man 3 is?
Look, I will say this. Spider-Man 3 is more enjoyable than The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I haven't even seen Amazing Spider-Man 2. I saw the first one and it was kind of okay. But okay, the last topic I have. Were you going to say something?
Nah, not really.
Okay, not really? Did you change your mind?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I was originally gonna say that's the one movie you can miss, but that's only because then we need to see it together just to torture you with it.
Yeah, good for you. All right, the last topic is, what Marvel films that have not been announced yet would you really like to see?
Does that have to be a film, or can I say like a show?
It can be anything.
The Moon Knight show.
That would be cool.
Come on, think about it. You know how you were just saying you want a show with controversy? Imagine a show where the main protagonist is a schizophrenic man who... Oh yeah, also about schizophrenic. For me, Legion, I really love Legion. Everybody go watch the show Legion. But anyway, schizophrenic man dresses up kind of like Batman, only he kills people. And one of the things he does is when he finds the guy that's responsible for everything that happened to him, he cuts out his face and wears it like Hannibal Lecter. And it's a black guy.
Yeah, that sounds very, very appealing. You've sold me on that big time. And I'm not even joking. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Sometimes I can't tell who's sarcasm with you.
I'm not being sarcastic. I would genuinely love to see a Moon Knight show that's exactly the way you described it. But yeah, I've been thinking long and hard about what I'd really like to see from the MCU, because really, aside from the stuff that they don't have the rights to, they've already gotten all my favorite properties. They've already gotten Iron Man. They've done Daredevil. They're working on Iron Fist. Pretty much all the Marvel characters I'm really fond of, unless I've missed some, have been done justice in the MCU, unless, of course, they don't own the rights to them. But I guess I would like to see maybe a film focus on with an all-female cast, where it's like, Black Widow, and she teams up with I don't know, Tigra and Elektra, maybe sort of like Gotham Sirens, but with Marvel heroines. That might be kind of
So pretty much the heroes for hire during the Civil War era,
oh yeah,
or the female Valkyries.
yeah. Are you thinking of the Heroes for Hire book where it had like a Colleen Wing and Misty Knight? Oh yeah, remember
Yeah,
that?
and Black Cat and so on.
Yeah, remember that cover controversy where they had a cover for that book and it was like tentacle hentai. It was like the female heroines with like their humongous boobs hanging out and like they were like being attacked by a tentacle monster. That's like maybe the earliest comic cover controversy. It was all the way back in 2007.
We're not kidding about this, people. Look it up.
Yeah.
Heroes for Hire. Look up like 2007. Was Civil War like 2007?
I think it was 2006.
2006 era, maybe like number 23 or something like that.
Looking it up right now. Heroes for Hire tentacle hentai. It literally says in. All right, it's Heroes for Hire number 13. Issue number 13. Go look that up. Oh, and it's a World War Hulk tie-in, apparently. It's a World War Hulk tie-in.
Jesus.
But yeah. So yeah, I would like to see like you said, a Heroes for Hire show or movie or something that's just an all-female cast. I like all-female casts and things. I think that's very progressive and empowering, especially when they're quite attractive. So it would be fun. And yeah, Moon Knight would be fun. I guess I'd like Iron Fist Season 2 to be a bit more mystical. I'd like it to have dragons and stuff. I think it might be kind
King
of fun.
Fang Foom.
Yeah, that big dragon dude. I think it would be interesting if it's kind of like the current series Iron Fist comic, which is okay, where it's like kind of like Mortal Kombat. He's going to this island and he's like fighting all these like cool martial arts dudes, and he like has to like suck out their chi when he beats them, kind of like a fatality. I think that would be interesting for the second season.
In the previous series before that, the Immortal Weapon, he does fight like multiple dragons.
Yeah, it's as a series where like uses his chi to possess his building, and it turns into a transformer.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. You should read that. Read lots of Iron Fist comics. It pisses off the right people. But are you looking forward to the Defenders?
I really am. It's kind of funny because I'm not sure how they're gonna do the Sigourney Weaver character because she's a completely original character. But I really want to see just like all these like dynamics of like you have Daredevil, who's like the experienced veteran superhero now. Jessica Jones, the hardened, hard-boiled detective, Luke Cage, so on and so on, and Iron Fist and so on. They're all being like kind of like mentored by Stick. So I really want to see the personalities. That kind of interests me more than how they do in the Avengers show, because as much as I love how they interact in the Avengers, they can't say fuck you when they get pissed off at each other.
Yeah, and even though I have had some issues with the shows, I think Iron Fist had some problems. I wasn't a big fan of how Luke Cage was portrayed. I am excited to see them all together because I think they are going to make something really great out of this. It doesn't seem like it seems very hard to screw up, but then again, that means they have a chance of screwing it up because who thought Age of Ultron would be so easy to screw up? But I am excited. I think it is interesting to see if they can make the Danny Rand Luke Cage romance happen. And are they I know that Luke Cage is in the Jessica Jones show. Like, are they a couple at the end?
Well, they were, but then because of the fact that a spoiler happens in the show that kind of makes it to where it's like Luke Cage is kind of like heartbroken by her. And in the Luke Cage show, you gotta remember she says like she was like his rebound girl.
Mm-hmm. So it could be some interesting drama there.
Pretty much, yeah. I would love to see if either one tries to flirt with Jessica and then Luke kind of just like butts in. Because that was actually something that kind of they made a joke in the original comics with when Jessica. Because fun fact for anybody who didn't know, Jessica Jones originally was classmates with Peter Parker. They're the same age in the comics. And she was actually originally in love with Peter before she got her powers and Peter got his. And then when she tells this to the entire group, Luke Cage actually gets like really jealous of Peter.
Jealous of Peter Parker.
Well, I mean, have you seen Peter Parker when he's an adult? He kind of really is a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he is good looking, but no one in the universe realizes it, except for Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, and
Black Cat.
Yeah, and Black Cat. Yeah,
and Deadpool.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy, and nobody realizes how good-looking he is, except for the super hot women. Isn't that an interesting premise? Comic books, people. Nothing like the real world. But yeah, I am looking forward to Defenders.
No. Also, you could also say all the people in New York, considering the fact that there was a part where he was completely naked except for his costume. I mean, except for his mask.
Yeah, except for his mask, you couldn't see his face.
Hey, but at least people now know Spider-Man's hung.
You said you wanted more dick jokes on the show, and you delivered. But okay, there is also apparently a Runaways show planned. I don't know if it's for
Netflix. On Hulu.
Oh yeah, Hulu. I don't really care. I don't even know if it's in the MCU. Apparently, they're trying to make a Cloak and Dagger.
The Cloak and Dagger show is not. Okay, no, it is and it isn't. That's the one I don't think it really necessarily probably is or not. Inhumans, I know is MCU.
I forgot about Inhumans. Let's talk about Inhumans. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how great do you think Inhumans looks?
Looks? Okay, the character
overall, in general, like the quality of everything about the show, scale of 1 to 10.
It definitely feels like the Steve Ditko kind of drawings, but then a lot of things like the Medusa wig is saying, and the fact that they're not wearing their costumes.
Yeah, I'd give
Inhumans. Like the whole point of the difference between the Inhumans and mutants is that the Inhumans are more like deformed. Like like the black guy that's playing Gordon, he's supposed to have horns. He's supposed to look more like a beast.
Yeah, I was going to say that the characters, they all look like cosplays. But the thing is, cosplayers are usually a bit more vibrant and colorful and more creative. Those aren't even cosplay level costumes. They're just, I don't even know what to call that. But yeah,
the world itself looks like, okay, you know what? I can kind of get that this is like a different civilization. You know, like segregated world, sort of mystical world, sort of thing. But it's like, come on, please tell me that, like, you know, they're to get like better clothes or something like that.
Yeah. Overall, I'd give it a 3 in terms of how it looks right now. I'm not expecting it to be good at all. But all right. Anything else you want to discuss? Any other thoughts on the films or the shows? Anything at all?
Did I mention that people should go watch Legion?
Okay. And X-Men Origins Wolverine. You won't regret it.
No, okay, fuck you. No, don't try to damper this down. People, legitimately, go watch the show Legion. It's about Professor X's son. It is very good. I give it my seal of approval.
Yeah, listen to him. If you give something a seal of approval, it must be good. But yeah, if that's all you have to say, I think it's time we wrapped up. Okay, so thanks for watching. Right. Yep, thanks for watching, everyone. We will have another live stream up soon. Have a good night.